Are you a Zoom beginner or a real pro? In this video, you'll find out the 10 most common mistakes that will tell you how many of them are you still making to set the right expectations. I'm going to focus on the mistakes that people make on the Zoom technical features. You're not going to hear anything on how to position your light, on the fact that you should look at the camera, on the position of the camera, etc. Hi, my name is Enrico, and I help you become a remote working hero by adopting the technology that works best for you. So let's get started with mistake number 1. I've connected with 3 devices. My PC, where I'm the host, hello. Then I am connected with my mobile phone and with the MacBook Pro. The first mistake is confusing Spotlight with Pin. They seem to have a very similar effect, but they're actually quite different. Spotlight is a feature that can be used only by the host. So let's try it. As a host, I can right-click on my video and then Spotlight for everyone. Now everyone will see my video in full window mode. To remove the spotlight, just go to the top left and click Remove Spotlight. When you go back, you'll be in speaker view. So let me go back to gallery. Let's now see what happens if I change host and give the host rights to the MacBook Pro participant. I'm not the host on PC anymore, so if I right-click on a video, then I don't see the spotlight option anymore. If now the host on the MacBook Pro spotlights a video for everyone, let's see what happens. This will affect also my view. Pin has a similar effect, that is making a participant's video in full screen mode. However, Pin will impact only the participant that is using that feature and can be used by any participant in the call. The host is still on the MacBook Pro. So let's see what happens when I right-click on a video as a participant. Let's go to the mobile participant and I can click on Pin. Now the mobile participant is displayed in full screen mode, but only for me. So to summarize, Spotlight can be used only by the host and has an impact on everyone's view, whereas Pin can be used by anyone and has an impact only on the participant that is using that feature. Mistakes 2 and 3 concern the host when he or she needs to leave the meeting, but wants the other participants to stay on the call. So let's start from mistake number 2. You're in plenary and you're the host, but you need to leave. If you click on End and then End Meeting for All, obviously everybody will be kicked out of the meeting. So make sure that before you leave, you assign host rights to another participant. So let's write on the MacBook Pro participant and let's make him host. Now, if I click on Leave, I only have the option to leave the meeting. That means that if I'm leaving the meeting, then the other participants will remain on the call. So if you need to leave, I recommend you proactively assign another host. Let me claim my host rights back. As a host, in alternative, you can click on End and then Leave Meeting instead of End Meeting for All. By clicking on it, then you'll have the option to assign a new host. Now, if I click on Assign and Leave, I'll leave the meeting, but the participant on the phone will be the new host and everyone will continue the call. A similar mistake can happen when we are in breakout rooms. So I'm now the host and the participants are in the breakout room. Now I want to go to the breakout room and see what's going on. I'm now in the breakout room with the other 2 participants. Let's say I interact with them and then want to go back to the main room. So I'll click on Leave Room. And now we have 3 options: End Meeting for All, Leave Meeting, and Leave Breakout Room. If you're not the host, as a participant, you will see only Leave Meeting and Leave Breakout Room. Make sure you always click on Leave Breakout Room. Otherwise, instead of returning to the main room, you may leave the meeting, or even worse, if you're the host, end the meeting for all. The next common mistake that will prove if you're a pro or a beginner is the way you share your PowerPoint slides. How often did you see this? Are you seeing the right screen or the presenter mode? I'm sure this looks familiar. So if you don't need the presenter view when you're presenting PowerPoint, there is a trick. Go to Slideshow, set up Slideshow, and then select Browsed by an individual. Click on OK, and then when you start your slideshow, PowerPoint will open in just one window, a window that you can also resize if you wish. If you're liking this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, because this is what you can do for me to help me spread my content and grow my channel. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Oops. Another common mistake is to show up at the meeting with a virtual background that you used for a previous one. And let's say you've been using Zoom for private reasons, well, you should always be careful with it. If you're using a virtual background in a meeting, then Zoom will start with the same background at your next meeting, unless you change it before, which is what you should be doing. The next mistake has to do with one of the features that Zoom launched in 2021. That is Zoom apps. Unless you're having a Zoom call with colleagues in a company where you know which apps are installed, you should never assume that other participants can use the same apps that you can use. If they cannot use the apps that you want to use, then you will turn something potentially very interactive and nice into total failure. Another mistake is to confuse window with application share. So let's say you have a Word document that you want to share to the participants, and you have your notes on the side that will help you during the presentation. So go to Share Screen, and here, if you share the complete window, or screen 1, then be careful because you're going to share the whole content on the screen. That is the Word document and your notes that you wanted to keep just for you. Instead, what you want to do is to go to Share Screen again, and then select a specific window. That is, in my case, the Word document. By doing so, the participants will only see the Word document, whereas you will be able to keep seeing your notes on the side. A very dangerous mistake is to answer to all in the chat when you receive a direct message. Something like this. Oh, I received a message. Hey PC participant, from my MacBook Pro participant. The mobile participant looks really weird this morning. Yeah, I agree, that's funny, right? So make sure that when you answer to direct messages, especially, and I repeat, especially if they are a bit dangerous, make sure that you answer only to the person that has sent it to you. Another very common mistake is assuming a co-host has the same host rights. The first thing to know is that a co-host can be assigned only during a meeting. If instead you need help to prepare the meeting, for example creating polls or quizzes, you have to assign an alternative host. And another very common mistake is to ask your audience to draw on the whiteboard. Let's do something fun and interactive. So let's draw that piece of product on the whiteboard. Well, drawing with the mouse is very difficult. And it's even more difficult if you don't have a mouse and you're working with a touchpad. So my recommendation, never ask people to draw on the whiteboard. Only use the very basic features of the Zoom whiteboard. But wait, since April 2022, there are big news on the new Zoom whiteboard feature. Finally, Zoom has updated its former quite primitive whiteboard, so things are now becoming a little bit easier, and that's why you should be watching this next video. Watch it now.